When it comes to golf shoes, for the last few years, Nike have been way off the pace, simply relying on their past catalogue of retro sneakers and converting them into golf shoes. But when it comes to actual performance golf dedicated shoes, they've not been on a very good run. Now, given this is their second attempt at this golf shoe, is the Nike Infinity Tour Next Percent going to buck the trend and actually be a good golf shoe? On first look, it seemed promising with the design changes that they'd made with these shoes. And while this shoe is definitely an improvement on the previous iteration, I'm just left feeling a bit disappointed again. Let's start with the fit of this shoe, because in the original version, it ran really small and really narrow, to the point where I had to go up half a size, and I've got pretty narrow feet already. In this new version, they have increased the width of the toe box, and I think they have actually lengthened the shoe as well, because I could go true to size in these shoes. With that being said, it's still a very narrow shoe. If you've got wide feet, then you're gonna have to go for the wide version and possibly even go up half a size as well. After walking 18 holes in these shoes, my feet were thanking me for taking them off. You've got a very shallow toe box, and when combined with the closeness of the fit, they're just not providing all-day comfort. And on top of that, there's not a huge amount of breathability. The Flyknit on this shoe has got this coating to help with the waterproofness of the upper, but given that you've not really got much room to spread your toes or wiggle your feet, it does turn them into a bit of an oven. A positive change that they have made is at the rear of the shoe. In the originals, it was a bit of an Achilles killer. With the new version, they've changed the heel design completely. It doesn't ride quite so high on the back of your ankle. Now, you also do get a good locked in feeling, and they do feel like they've got a good amount of structure. The other main issue with the original version of these shoes was their stability, to the point where I actually worried that I was gonna roll my ankle in them if the ground was too uneven. Nike have attempted to reduce that by increasing the width somewhat of this outsole design here and doing away completely with the Air Zoom. Instead, what you've got are these two Air Zoom pockets on the forefoot of the shoe. You've still got a significant amount of React foam here at the heel, which means that you do get a nice soft feeling at the back. And I've got to say that these are certainly more stable compared to the original version. That had to change with these shoes, and Nike have addressed that. I wouldn't necessarily call these the most stable golf shoes out on the market, because they still do sit up quite high, and although they have increased the width, it is still quite a narrow outsole. But I've got to say that I didn't feel nearly as unstable out on the golf course compared to the originals. However, because of the changes, I've now got two new issues with these shoes. The first one is with the outsole design. So Nike have made the outsole more aggressive by giving you a few extra of these kind of spikes here at the front. Although compared to other golf shoes, they're not particularly aggressive, so you're not getting a huge amount of additional traction from these. In fact, they're not even rubber, they're still part of whatever this material is here on the outsole. Nike have stuck with this hybrid spike design, although they have changed the layout of them. So you've now got two slightly smaller ones on the front, and now instead of one big one at the rear, you have actually got two. And while I didn't have any problem with the actual grip and traction with these shoes, I never slipped once out on the golf course in them, this hybrid design does annoy me, because if you do damage or break one of these spikes, you can't replace them. That's it. You've got to throw away these shoes or send them back to Nike if they're within the warranty period, I suppose. But what really bugs me with this outsole design is this huge gap that you have here on the outside as well as the inside. There's definitely a chance that you could do some damage to this outsole. Now, I don't know whether this glue is going to wear away over time or if you're going to be able to rip it or break it. Here in my hand, it does feel quite durable, but I do think that Nike have just increased the risk of these shoes getting damaged. Not to mention as well that that's a bit of a pain to keep clean. Dirt and sand and all sorts just gathers and collects every time in both the outside and the inside gap on the outsole there. My second issue with the new design are these Air Zoom pods. Do you really need them on a pair of golf shoes? After wearing them on the golf course several times, my opinion is no, not really. This technology has been successfully used in several of Nike's running shoes, but in golf, you don't do any running. It's not about running. So when you're out walking on the course, the forefoot feels a little bit firm. I mean, you're still getting quite a decent amount of softness from the React foam. However, there is absolutely no flexibility in those shoes at all, right across that midfoot area. Now, that might be fantastic when you're running in a pair of shoes and you want that springy effect in the transition of your foot to really propel you forwards. But out on the golf course, You want comfort when you're walking in your shoes, and not having a great deal of flexibility in that toe region is just not great in terms of the form of your foot and the way that it walks out on the golf course. Now, I've got to be clear that it didn't give me any issues, not that I'm aware of anyway, but after walking 18 holes, as I said before, my feet were thanking me for taking them off. They don't feel particularly soft, and while yes, they do kind of promote that forward momentum and rolling towards the toe when you walk, personally, I'm looking for a balance of comfort and performance, and I just don't think that is quite right with these shoes. In fact, if you take a quick look at the new Under Armour Hover Tour SLs, you can see here that they actually include cutouts on their outsole, which gives the shoe greater flexibility across that toe box area. And these have been designed by Under Armour with performance in mind. And I've got to admit, between the two, these are a lot more comfortable to walk in over 18 holes compared to these. So it really makes you wonder, why are Nike putting this technology in their shoes? Do they really think that that will result in better performance out on the golf course? Or is it more of just a gimmick and it looks cool and people recognize it because they put it in their running trainers? As always with Nike, there's plenty of different color options for their shoes. Personally, I'm quite a big fan of this kind of bubblegum look with the blue and the pink combined with the white. As always, I've included my affiliate links along with any discount codes that I've got on these shoes down in the description below. The actual style and the design looks a lot like a running shoe, but I appreciate that this look won't necessarily be for everyone. The upper underneath has got Nike's Fly Knit, and then it's covered in this hot melt material to give it waterproof properties. Towards the back, it then transitions to, I'm not sure whether this is leather or just a synthetic. I'm gonna guess that it's a synthetic. And then of course you've got the big swoosh on the outside and the inside as well. One thing that people noted with the upper on the previous version of this shoe is that actually it can start to discolor. And I've got a feeling that you're probably gonna get the same thing happen to these. It kind of looks like you're starting to get it already with this upper. I think you're gonna see a little bit of yellowing. Certainly if you look really closely there around the bottom of the laces. Doing my waterproof test, I can confirm that this upper material is waterproof and you're not gonna have to worry about any water getting in that toe box area. Although some did make its way through the tongue, so if you're playing in really wet conditions, or you go walking through really thick wet grass, your feet might get just a little bit wet. I appreciate that I've been pretty harsh about these shoes, but I just had such high hopes for them and expectations as well, really. I really thought that Nike were gonna fix all the problems that they had with the previous version and give us a really good quality, high performance golf shoe. And in my opinion, I just don't think they've accomplished that with these shoes. Now, of course, this is only based on my feet and the way that I play golf, so these might be absolutely fine for you and you might really get on with them. But make sure that you're trying these on beforehand and you're giving them a good proper test. And if you are looking for a pair of performance spiked golf shoes, then why not check out my full review of the brand new FootJoy Tour Alpha golf shoes, which I've included right here.